From freezer to oven, you can have these soft, fluffy potato rolls. Make the dough now, and then when the holidays come around, all you do is pop them in the oven. It couldn't be easier, and these are so good. I use golden potatoes. You can also use the red creamer potatoes. Both of those work great. I just peel them, chunk them up, throw them in a pot of water, boil them till they're fork tender, and then I mash them with a potato masher, but if you have a potato ricer, that will work great too. And you're gonna wanna save 1.5 cups of the potato water. We're gonna start by dissolving 4.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast into 1/2 cup of warm potato water. 2, 3, 4. This is the equivalent of 2 packages of yeast. Okay, set that aside. Now to your stand mixer, if you have a KitchenAid, that's gonna work great. Start with your paddle attachment, and we're gonna add in 2/3 of a cup of shortening, or you can use lard, or you can use tallow. Both of those will work great, not butter. It's not the same as pure fat. We're gonna add in 2/3 of a cup of sugar. I know that seems like a lot, but we're making a lot of rolls, and these dinner rolls have a nice sweetness to them. We're also going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt and cream that all together. Now for the mashed potatoes. This is what makes this recipe so soft. You're going to need 1 cup of the mashed potatoes. So get your mashed potatoes and get those in here, and we're going to blend again. I forgot to mention, you want to make sure your potatoes are mostly cool. They can be slightly warm, but you don't want it to melt that shortening. And now we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs. And we blend. Go ahead and scrape down the bowl of your mixer. Now we're going to add our yeast, which has been sitting for probably only about 5 minutes at this point. You can tell that it's already getting foamy. It loves the starch from the potatoes. Get in our yeast, potato water. And mix that in. We're going to add in the other cup of potato water. And this recipe calls for 7.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Make sure you scoop and scrape. So let's get a couple of these in, and then we'll mix them in gradually. Whoa. There we go. So this is number 4. Five. 6. 7. And we need that 1/2 cup. All right, I'm going to switch at this point, take the paddles out and put in the bread hook. Got it. Okay. All right. That's it. Let's knead it for just a few minutes. Our dough has been kneading for about 5 minutes. So we're going to get it into a bowl and we're going to let it rise for about an hour. And then punch it down and let it rise for another hour before we form it into rolls. So I'll see you back here in an hour. Our dough's been rising for an hour, so we are going to punch it down. If your kitchen is cold, like you're doing this in the winter, this might take an hour and a half, 2 hours for this to double in size, but it's still warm here in Texas. So we're just gonna get rid of that air. Get it back in the bowl, cover it back up, and we're gonna let it rise one more time. It's time to make the rolls. Our second rise is done, and you're gonna grab pieces of dough that are about the size of a golf ball. And we're just gonna lay them out on the sheet, and then we're gonna pop them in the freezer until they are fully frozen. And then they will be ready for whenever you need them during the holidays. And you can pull out as many as you want. And I will show you how to defrost them and get them baked. But first, we need to get all of these made. This is such a soft, easy dough to work with. If it's a little sticky, grab some extra flour and flour your hands. You can get them pretty close on this pan, but you don't want them touching. Okay, once you have all of your dough formed into dough balls, and these are probably a little bit bigger than golf ball size. I don't play golf. I don't know what size that is, but it is a little bigger. We're gonna cover it with some saran. I'm gonna get these in the freezer. It is nighttime here, so I'm just gonna let them sit in the freezer overnight, and in the morning I'll bag them up. So this made about 40 rolls. I'm gonna let these proof for about 30 minutes and pop them in the oven at 350 for about 12 to 15 minutes. Little treat for my husband for putting up with me. I just pulled the roll dough out of the freezer. These guys are fully frozen. At this point, you just bag them up and stick them back in the freezer until you're ready to bake. So next up, I'll show you how to do it. It's baking day. All you're gonna do is take out your rolls, put them on a sheet lined with parchment, and we're gonna cover with saran wrap and let these defrost on the counter until they have proofed, and then we'll get them in the oven. Our rolls have been defrosting for about 2 hours, and they are completely defrosted. However, take a look. If you give them a little poke, this is the poke test, give them a little poke and it pops right back out. That means they're not done. You want to poke and you want to leave like a little indent. So we're gonna let these sit for about 30 more minutes, and I'm going to preheat the oven. It's been 2.5 hours. That's what you want, that little indent. These took 2.5 hours to defrost and fully proof. However, it is still 90 degrees here in Texas, and it's 72, 73 degrees in my house. So if it is cooler where you are and your house is around 68, I'm gonna guess it's gonna take longer. So plan on 2.5 to 3.5 hours for these to fully proof. Now we're gonna pop them in a 350-degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes. This is my grandma's potato roll recipe. We've been making it in our family for so long. They're soft, they're fluffy, they have a little bit of sweetness, and they're perfect on your Thanksgiving and Christmas table. These are so good. You need to make these.